Hi everyone, today I'm here to talk about a totally amazing book that I just finished reading and absolutely loved, and I cannot stop talking or thinking about how amazing it is. I've literally just been mumbling to myself about how awesome this book is for the past half hour because I was so excited to finish it and it was so good. And that book is The Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth. And this is a book about a man, an assassin, whose code name is the Jackal, and his attempt to assassinate President Charles de Gaulle. And the Jackal has been hired by the OAS, if I'm remembering the acronym correctly, because I'm really bad at acronyms, which is bad because they're supposed to help you remember things. But the OAS, is that acronyms or just the abbreviation? Anyway, whatever. You guys all know what I'm talking about, right? No, the OAS was a radical French group who was trying to kill Charles de Gaulle multiple times because they thought he had betrayed the country and betrayed the people, and normal things that assassins think or whatever, or not necessarily assassins, because normal things that people think when they want to murder political people, right? Okay, they don't agree with them, they want to kill them, whatever. The Jackal, for his part, is doing it because he wants the money. He doesn't care. He is a private contractor assassin, basically, and the OAS chooses him to do this job of assassinating President Charles de Gaulle of France. And the book is so good. It sounds boring when I describe it, but it's about the assassin planning and all the steps he goes through and everything he does and the recon and getting false papers and things like that, and just how calm and collected and cool he is when he has a job to assassinate a leader of the free world, right? And then there's a manhunt, and the day of the assassination comes, and etc., but it really is just about all his motions from the time he gets hired until the end of the book, which I won't tell you what happens. And like I said, it sounds boring. It's about an assassin planning. Yay. But no, so well written, so good. Oh my gosh. There was only one thing that bothered me after finishing the whole thing, was that at one part, the Jackal, the assassin, who's so calm, cool, collected, he is able to think on his feet. He's able to get out of trouble a lot of times because he's just able to think through the situations and find a way to get out of them. He fumbles with a bullet and a gun that he's using. And I feel like because he's so calm and cool, he wouldn't, it's literally the choice of words, he fumbled with it. I feel like he wouldn't. I feel like it would have been a smooth motion, even under stress, even under the amount of pressure. He would have grabbed the bullet, slid it in, chambered it, whatever. And I feel like that would have been a smooth motion, even under that pressure, even at that moment, which you should all go read the book and then you'll know what I'm talking about. That was literally the one thing that bothered me by the end after reading this whole book, was that it was described as fumbling. Because I feel like the Jackal wouldn't have done that. And other than that, the ending, literally the actual ending of the book. I'm gonna give a little spoiler out right here, so plug your ears, and when I'm done, I'm gonna go like this, and you can unplug your ears, but really what you should do is go read this book first, then come back and watch this. But one thing that I really wanted to happen, so plug your ears now if you don't want to hear the spoiler. One thing that I really wanted to happen was for us as the readers to never know the Jackal's name. I always wanted him to be the Jackal, kind of like how in Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, we never know the name of the narrator, the main character of the book. We never know her name. And I wanted that to happen with the Jackal. But there's a part where the police get on his trail and they find his identity, which then leads on to multiple other identities that he's had for himself. And I was like, oh, now the Jackal's just a dude named Charles. He has a name. And I don't know, that just wasn't as cool as just being the Jackal, right? Right? Okay. You get to the end of the book. It's literally the paragraph before the paragraph or two that ends the book. They're in Charles's apartment, and Charles comes home, the actual Charles, and he's like, WTF are you doing in my apartment? why the hell are you here? And the police are just like, oh, well, we thought you were this other guy. And no, I'm Charles. And so, mind blown, like, that whole thing of the Jackal being Charles, a lie. And so you do never know the name of the Jackal. And if Frederick Forsyth had not done that, I literally would not like this book as much. But because he did that at the end, literally at the end, it was like a punch in the gut of ultimate amazingness. It was so good. I'm so happy you never know the Jackal's name. It made the book 10 billion times better. Oh my gosh, so happy. Okay. It was like a power moment in a book, you know. It's literally like when in Lord of the Rings Eowyn's like, I am no man, and stabs the Witch King. This is how that moment felt to me. It was like, I'm Charles. And then you're like, okay, it was so good. Okay, done with the spoiler, so. Alright, you all can start listening again. I'm done with the spoiler. But it was fantastic. Definitely read Day of the Jackal. I will not shut up about how good it is. And I feel like something I really liked besides his writing, which was super good. I mean, to make a planning interesting, you have to be a good writer, right? Because it's just planning. He's walking around, smoking cigarettes, looking at apartment buildings, talking to people who, like, he could use for his purposes, right? And that sounds kind of boring. So not boring, so good. But what I liked is that I somehow understood every character. Not necessarily that I would agree with them. Like, I don't know enough about President de Gaulle to, like, assess whether I would have agreed assassinating him or not. Based on what I know about him, just, like, loose information in my head, I would have said that he's an alright man, and I wouldn't have agreed with assassinating President de Gaulle if it had happened, or if he was still alive, which he isn't, and someone was trying it now. But like I said, I don't know enough about the man. He died way before I was born, so I can't say whether or not I would agree with that assessment, because obviously there's some figures in history, like anyone that tried to assassinate Hitler, I'm like, yes, good for you. Like, Hitler was not a good guy, you know? But for President Charles de Gaulle, I'm like, I don't know, like, he seems like an alright man to me, and as far as I know, he didn't do any, like, really horrible things that would ever, in my mind, be like, yeah, that dude needs to go, right? Right, okay. So, that being said, though, I understood the OAS. I understood why they wanted to assassinate de Gaulle. And I understood why the Jackal was doing what he did. Like, he wanted the money. He liked his lifestyle of living and having nice meals and cool cars, and that's why he wanted to. There's literally only, like, a few sentences in the book about why he's doing it, and it just talks about him being a little boy with his face pressed up against a window looking at posters of destinations far away, like travel destinations, and wanting to be able to go to those places. That's all you learn about the Jackal and his personal life. Literally, period, that's all. And it was so good. But it was also a powerful moment because, sorry, I'm scratching my nose and talk through my hand. Because I understood that. Yeah, would I also like a lot of money so I can relax and not have to worry about paying rent and bills and, oh my gosh, what if my car breaks down? Am I going to have enough money to cover that? Like, yes, I would. So do I understand the Jackal? Yes, I do. Do I understand the crazy people that hired him? I might not agree with them and their beliefs, but yes, I understood why they wanted to do it. And of course, I understood the police who are trying to protect President de Gaulle. I understood them. I understood this character who is important in the novel, even though he's not in it like too much. He's basically a bodyguard of one of the men who hired the Jackal to assassinate President de Gaulle. And I understood why he was doing what he did in the book, which makes no sense to you because you haven't read the book, but go read it, you'll understand. Because he cared about his daughter, basically, that's all I'll say. So I understand why he did what he did. And man, it was just so well written. There's rarely, I feel like, scenes in books that make me like uncomfortable and squirm and be like, oh my gosh, that was disgusting. But the way Frederick Forsyth wrote this one torture scene, I was like, literally like, no, ew, ugh. And of course I don't agree with torture at all, in general. Like, it still happens today. I know that it's an actual thing. I don't agree with it. Yeah, I'll just say that. I don't agree with torture. Torture is bad, I think. And it's not okay to do. But the way that he described it in this book, and I write dark things too. That's the thing, is I've written dark things, and I've written scenes where people are being abused and tortured. But the way that he wrote it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it literally disgusted me. And I felt so bad for the man being tortured. And, like, literally so bad for him that I was thinking about it even, like, the next day while I was driving to work. I was like, that poor man, he's not even real. He's not real. He's a character in this book. And I felt so bad for him because of the way that Frederick Forsyth wrote that scene, which just proves that he's a really good writer. So, because it made me squirm, it made me feel disgusted. Ugh. Even thinking about it now, I'm like, nope. So, yeah, I understood the characters. They were also distinctive enough that even though there was a lot of names being thrown around, I could remember who everyone was. And it was just so good. I totally suggest reading Day of the Jackal. I feel like the only thing is there was a female character in the book, and I feel like you don't really figure out what happens to her, and I felt like there should have been, like, one more paragraph about her, even if it was just, she works for the group that hires the Jackal, so that's all I'll say about that, but I wanted to know what kind of happened to her at the end of the novel, and I feel like because I was speed reading it, oh my gosh, like, when I was reading the end, I just was willing myself to read faster, like, wishing I could just because I wanted to know what happened. That's how good it was. I was like, come on, read faster. I want to freaking know what happens at the end. How does this book end? And so maybe I accidentally skipped a line about her, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. So it was fantastic. Go read The Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth. He wrote this when he was like 31 or something, and freaking wrote it in 35 days, and that blows my mind. And at the time, he was like a poor journalist trying to be an author, and then when Viking Press in America picked up the rights for it, he made, depending on how he split the money with this other guy, like $1.3 to $2.6 million in today's money, so I don't know how much that was back then, but that's a lot of money, and he was like a struggling author, and was like, I never thought I'd see that much money, or ever have that much money in my life, and I'm just like, good for him. Good for Frederick Forsyth, because this book was freaking amazing, and you should definitely read it, and it just, like, I want that to be my life too. I don't need that much money for my books, but, like, I want it to be enough money where I can just live off of my writing. I would still love to have a day job, to be honest, because I like getting out of the house, and I sit around way too much as it is anyway, and eat unhealthy foods and stuff, so, you know, whatever. But I would love to be able to make a living off my writing. Like, that is literally my dream. I just want to be a writer, and I want to travel, and I want to make up stories about places where I travel to and incorporate them into my novels, and, like, that is just my dream. Which is why I understand the Jackal. He just wanted that security. He wanted that lifestyle. He wanted to be able to travel, and I don't need all those fancy cars. And, like, I just need a tiny little house that has, like, an extra room for all my artsy crap, and one room for me, and a kitchen and a living room, and a bathroom, obviously. And then I just want to travel. Like, I totally understand that feeling. I totally get him. And man, the Jackal's not a good dude, but he was so suave and smooth and cool, and the way he thought through things, and the way he was able to get himself out of trouble so many times, I was like, I need to be more like that. Not the bad part, not the killer part, but I need to be more like, it's okay, I can get out of this situation, everything's going to be fine. So good. So go read The Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth, 1000%. Because this is about assassinations, I didn't really think of a question beforehand. I always end this with a little question about something. I guess I'll talk about, I don't know, like, just my favorite assassination is, that sounds really bad. I guess I'll just talk about, JFK is probably the most famous assassination, I would assume, and I feel like it's just because of all the conspiracy theories. Like, yes, he was an American president, but so was Abraham Lincoln, so was Garfield, so was McKinley. They were also assassinated, but I feel like JFK's is like, because everyone's got their own theories. That being said, and it was kind of also played into this book, is that back in the day, they would literally just publish where the president would be. They're like, president's going to be in Dallas, and he's going to be going down this street starting at 11:30, and this is the whole route that he'll be driving through, and he's in this, Kennedy was in this car that had nothing to protect him. It's like sitting there in the back, like, hey, no protection whatsoever. So, do I think that Lee Harvey Oswald totally could have killed him by himself? Yes. Especially, like, yes, this is a fictional account of an assassin, but it's like the same thing. The Jackal knew where Charles de Gaulle was going to be. There's a building there. He has a rifle. Yes, it could happen. But I feel like with today's eyes, with the amount of security that we've had forced upon us because of bad things that have happened, which makes me sad. Like, I wish, people were just nice to each other and we all got along so we wouldn't have to have security measures like this. But we don't, which sucks. So be nice to each other, one. Two, yeah, we're looking at it with these eyes of like, ugh, president always has, his Secret Service members and he drives around in this bulletproof glass car and No, like, not back in the 60s, friends. Not back in the 60s. I mean, Garfield was assassinated, I believe, at a train station. I mean, he died later, but he was shot at a train station because they published James Garfield's going on vacation. He's going to be leaving the train station at this time, and this is where he's going to be going, and la la la. And I'm like, okay, if you want to publish where you are every second of the day, be my guest. It's not a smart move, even today, in today's world, not a smart move. People are posting things on Facebook all the time. I don't know. Like, I just listen to way too many crime podcasts that I'm like, don't tell people where you are all the time, okay? Like, let someone know where you are. Like, your friend, like, oh, I'm going out for a walk, so if you don't come back, your friend can be like, she was walking here, go see if she was eaten by a mountain lion or something. But don't post it to the whole world where you are every minute of every day, because that's no bueno. It's not good. Anyway, this was Day of the Jackal by Frederick Forsyth. Go read it. I rarely buy books these days because I'm trying to cut down and just, like, spend money on other things like rent, and stuff like that. But Day of the Jackal, fantastic book. Go read it. I will probably, definitely, eventually buy a copy. Like, I just bought a copy. I read The Cave Mutiny a year ago, but it stuck with me enough over the last year that I went out and bought a copy because I love it so much and it still sticks with me and I still actually think about it more than other books that I've read recently. So, and I would love to reread The Cave Mutiny, and I would definitely reread The Day of the Jackal, especially now that I know what happens at the end. I can, like, take my time reading it, see if I missed a thing about that female character. But yeah, I feel like this has been, like, one of the longest book reviews I've ever done because I really just love Day of the Jackal and could blah, blah, blah on about how great it is forever and ever, because just literally, wow. That's all I could, like, I'm so excited when I was like, that was so good. That was so good. Yeah, so thanks, Frederick Forsyth, for such a good book. Day of the Jackal, totally love it. Yeah, he's still alive, by the way. He's 86 now or something like that. Still kicking, so good for you, Frederick Forsyth. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day.